everyone, Marion Smith here, back with a little how-to video on how to make these little pocket pages for your planners. And we're working with my Heart of Gold planner, as you can see here, which is an A5 size planner. And there aren't photo sleeves made for this size, so I decided to make my own using I think it's We Are Memory Keepers fuse tool, which is really cool. But you can see here I'm showing you this little zipper pouch that I also made using the fuse tool. It was like a little book cover thing, and I just turned it into this little pocket. But there's all kinds of little pockets in this one little pouch, which I really like. It's a little bulky for a planner, but it's perfect for holding your stickers and things like that if you're going on a trip. You definitely want to have something like this in your planner. But you can also make, just a regular photo sleeve page and store your stickers in there as well. So see, there's a back pocket even. It's ridiculous how many pockets are in this little thing I made. All right, so I showed you guys that, and I'm actually in the middle of turning one of my planners into a pocket page album, like a photo scrapbook album sort of thing. So I'll show you that later, and I'll probably do another video showing you how to make all the little pockets and things, but I'm just going to show you right now how to make the basic pocket. So you're going to need a photo sleeve like this. This is the 12 by 12 size. You can get these anywhere. They're really cheap. And then you're going to need the fuse tool. And we're going to use the attachment that looks like a little wheel. And I'll show you how it works in a minute. Risking burning my fingers here by doing this, but see, it turns just like that. Make sure it's screwed on tight before you get started, and have a mug handy because I like to put it in the mug and let it sit when I'm not using it. It did come with a little stand, but it was really flimsy and it just kept knocking over, so this just works better for me. And I've got some paper taped down to my area here to protect my table because I don't want to burn anything. And this is an acrylic top table, so I don't want to risk melting it. And I'm just going to pull out a divider from my planner, and I'm going to use this as my ruler to make my photo sleeve. So bump it up to one corner and make sure your bottom and your side is straight because you don't want a crooked pocket. Then you're going to take this tool and test it out on a piece of that border of the plastic to make sure it's working and it's hot enough. Alright, so now I'm just going to go all the way around this little divider here, and I'm using this again as to measure out my page because I know that this is an A5 size. So at the bottom where my fingers are on the right, you can see there's already a little border to this page protector there. I'm not using that, so I'm not taking that into account when I'm measuring out my page here. So you're going to roll this along the edge using the divider as a ruler. It did come with a ruler, but it was just really small, and it doesn't work well for what I like to do, so I don't use the ruler that it came with. Alright, and then I'm just flipping my divider here, and you're going to do the sides. Now, with this little wheel tool that's on the fuse, if it's slipping, what I mean by that is if it's gliding across the plastic and it's not making those little stipple marks, you're going too fast. So make sure you go nice and slow because you want to make sure you're melting that plastic with that tool. Like I said a second ago, if you go too fast, we'll just glide across that plastic and it won't do anything. So test it out on a scrap piece of plastic or something, and make sure it's heated enough and that you've got the right speed going. And you don't want to hold it on there too long because then it'll cut the plastic. And you'll know what I mean when you try it out. There is a little bit of a learning curve, but it's actually a pretty cool tool. So I'm doing the other side here. It's so hard to see, darn it. I wish I would have used a darker paper for you guys, so I apologize. Next time I will keep that in mind, but I really thought that you were going to be able to see it. So now I'm mitering my corners on one side, and this is the side that's going to have the border. Basically the side that's going to be punched, and it's going to be the binding to your page. And I'll give you a close-up look of what this is looking like later. And you don't have to do this. You could do a straight edge if you want. I just love mitering my corners for the binding part. I think it looks really nice and finished and manufactured instead of something handmade, so that's the only reason I do it, really. And I think I'm wandering off grabbing my scissors right now. And you can kind of see that little corner, how it's mitered there. I'm going to cut that, and you're going to cut on the outside of those little stipple marks that you made. And then I'm cutting the bottom as well. The bottom was already sealed, but I wanted to have some kind of continuity with this pocket, so I made all the edges with the fuse tool so it looked like it was supposed to be that way, if that makes sense. It's an added step, so you don't have to do this, but I just like to. And cutting up the side here. And normally I will take the fuse tool to the top opening too, and then I'll just cut under it to make the opening, but I didn't do it this time, so I think I ended up cutting this pocket a little bit crooked at the top. So never mind that. Oh, wait, there we go. I'm doing it. I actually filmed this a few days ago, and I'm just now doing the voiceover, so I'm kind of forgetting what steps I took, but I think you guys will get it. So I got this fuse tool from scrapbook.com, or actually the first time I got it from scrapbook.com, and it burnt out on the second use. I don't know why. So then I ordered it again on Amazon Prime because I really liked it and I wanted to use it more than twice. So, and this one I've used quite a few times and it hasn't burnt out on me, so quite happy about that. I'm pretty sure it was just a fluke that first time. So now I'm cutting off the extra border because I made my own border with a fuse tool. Alright, and let's see, I believe I'm going to punch my holes now, and I just use a 6-hole adjustable punch that you'll see here in a minute. You can get these anywhere online. There's like several brands. This is just a no-name brand punch. I don't even know what it is. I got it on, I'm not sure where I got it. It's been so long since I bought this punch. Probably Amazon, I would say, maybe. So normally, well, I'm going to grab a piece of paper. When you're punching this plastic, you want to punch it with a piece of paper because you're just going to get a nice clean hole punch. If you don't, you're going to get these little tags that you end up having to cut off later. So make sure you do that. So I've got a little extra insert page here that I'm going to use. And I put it under the plastic, and that tends to get me a nice clean punch. Sometimes you'll still get a little plastic tag on there, but you just trim it off. It's no big deal. So I'm just eyeballing it now. I've got the setting on A5. And I'm giving it a second little punch there to make sure it went all the way through. So you can see here there's a few little tags, but you could just rip them off or use your scissors to trim them off. But usually when you could do a paper on the bottom of the plastic and a paper on top of the plastic, and that helps too, but sometimes you still get a little bit of a tag there. But they look pretty good, don't they? Alright, so let's try this guy out. I don't know what I'm doing here. Trying to decide where I'm going to put it. So my planner is jam-packed with inserts right now, plus I've got that zipper pouch in the back, so grr. So now I've got my little page in there, which you could barely see because it's clear, obviously. But yeah, this is a little bit bigger than an A5, I think, because I took into account the tab on the gold divider. So it is a teeny bit bigger. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit bigger. So you'd probably want to make yours a little bit smaller than this. Alright, so what am I doing now? Let's see. Oh, I'm trimming it now. So I didn't like how big it was, so I'm making it just a little bit smaller, I believe, using that divider as a ruler again. And let's see what's happening. All right, so I am trimming off that end a little bit. And see, my tool is slipping because I don't think that these stay consistently hot at the same temperature, because I have noticed that they tend to cool down and they heat back up and they cool down, but I'm not sure if it's meant to do that, but I have noticed that mine does that. So I'm thinking maybe it's meant to do that, but I don't know for sure, so I couldn't say. Oh, you know what? I was trimming the top because remember I said this was it was a little bit crooked. Oh, actually I did trim the side. See how forgetful I am? My goodness. It's only been a couple days. All right, so now I'm just eyeballing it and I'm sealing off my corners again, and then I'll punch this again. All right, so I think I didn't do the paper this time, so you're gonna see that the tags are much more severe when you don't use the paper. See, they kind of get stuck in there because those little plastic tags stick on there. I don't know why I didn't just grab the paper, but see, you can just trim them off with some scissors like I'm doing now. And this will make that pocket page the right size because it was just a little bit too big last time. And these are really cool because you could make all kinds of little shaker pockets like I showed you in the beginning of the video. They're just a lot of fun. And I'm having a blast turning my one of my planners into a scrapbook album with pocket pages because it's such a small format compared to a 12 by 12 album or an 8.5 by 11 album. So I don't know, it's just fun. So here I'm going to show you how you could steal pictures into your insert. It's super easy. So once again, I'm using the divider here. Now, here's a tip. When you're doing this, don't put anything in the pockets yet, especially if you're going to open the pockets later. If you're going to seal something in there like glitter, then obviously you can't do this. But if it's just cards, take the cards out and put them on top when you're doing this part, because I've noticed that if the plastic isn't completely flat, it won't stick to itself and it makes a mess of things. So I'm using the little wheel tool. I don't know if there's a technical term for this piece or a real name for this piece, but I just call it the little wheel, the wheel head. Because there's another tip that you get that's a point and it's used for cutting, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. All right, so we're going to change this tip out. Here's the cutting tip. I just use a napkin and I twist it off. I do not turn it off and wait for it to cool down because that would take forever. So I just grab a little napkin and I twist it off and I put the new tip on. So I'm just showing you that it's still hot. Don't touch it with your bare fingers because it gets pretty hot. It's pretty much the same thing as a soldering iron. I think it doesn't get as hot as one, but it's the same idea, so it's hot. Now this tip isn't hot, so I'm just screwing it on with my bare fingers. Make sure it's nice and tight on there. All right, and then now we are going to cut an opening at the top. Now remember, I used the wheel tool at the top also to seal off that size pocket. So you're gonna sort of score underneath that, and you're gonna move quickly. So see how fast I'm moving? If you move any slower than that, it's just gonna cut through that whole thing. So the way that I just did it now is only going to cut the first layer of plastic, and the back layer is going to stay intact. So you can see, oh, and I kind of tore the side there. I'm going to have to fix it because I was too rough. This is the really tricky part because it's kind of difficult to get open. It's not seamless. Like you really have to practice with this tool. So now I have to fix that edge that I just tore open. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, when you change tips, you want to give it a couple minutes to heat up because obviously it's not hot when you first put it on there. And the wheel head that I'm putting back onto my tool is actually hot, which is why I dropped it. So they take a while to cool down as well. Alright, so now I'm going to fix that tear that I just made on the side. I have noticed that although I would say it's a fairly strong seal, sometimes they tear if you don't do it properly or right, I guess. But I've noticed several of mine have torn and I've had to go back and fix them. But for the most part, they stay together pretty well, and I don't know, I have fun with this tool. I like it. So see, I still have to go back in there. I'm pretty sure my tip is not hot enough just yet. So I'm going over it a few times. And now it's sealed. Alright, so now you can see I've got a nice little pocket in the middle of the page, which is kind of cool. It goes in there just like that. And the back is intact, like I said earlier, so you don't have to worry about cutting all the way through. Just make sure you practice, because like I said, there's a bit of a learning curve with this tool. It took me a little while of playing around. Here's some glitters and things that I like to put in my pockets. Glitters, sequins, all that fun blingy stuff. And I'll show you what they look like. Here's one that I'm working on now. I did a bunch of little shaker pockets loaded with sequins and glitter, and then some Project Life cards. And then these are scrap pieces because I made these little tiny pockets. So those are a lot of fun. And if you guys want to see a video of my pocket page album so far in my planner notebook, let me know and I'll do a video on it. I've only done a few pages so far, but it's a lot of fun. I like the small format. It's definitely cool, and I'm using tons of glitter, so. Okay, so for this back zipper pocket, these are pretty complicated to make, but I had this little book cover here, so you can see here. You can buy this plastic vinyl at Joann's, and you can make your own pockets out of a stronger plastic if you want to, and the tool works great on this. You just have to hold it down longer, but I'm going to show you. See, it was a book cover originally, so I'm just going to close up the sides, and then that's how I ended up with my zipper pouch with all the different pockets. And then on the side, I close it up just like I did the insert page, and I miter the corners, and then I punch the holes, and it's perfect. It works really well. So see, I'm just sealing up the sides now, and it works really great with this plastic. And like I said, this is just that plastic vinyl that you can get at Joann's. I think a lot of people use it to cover their rugs or their furniture, to protect their furniture. So it's really cheap. It's not expensive at all, and you can make all sorts of things with it. All right, so now I'm going to make the binding part, the part that I'm going to punch, and I'm doing it the same way that I did the other plastic insert. So see, I'm going much slower than I was going with thin plastic, so it'll fuse together well because it's a much thicker plastic. And then we're going to miter the corners. And this is, like I said, you could just do this straight across. You don't have to miter your corners. I just like the way it looks. And snipping off the extra, and then I'll do that side, I believe. Or I didn't need to, actually. So I believe I just put this straight into the punch without paper, because this plastic's really thick, and I think it punches really well on its own. It's a little tough to get in there because it's a lot thicker. And this punch really, I mean, you can't use too thick of a piece of material in there. So see, those punched beautifully. There's no little tags. So this plastic's really, really nice, this vinyl plastic. All right, and I'm just fixing up a little side here because it wasn't fused together properly. So if you do end up going to Joann's and buying this vinyl and you want that little plastic zipper, all you have to do is go to the grocery store and buy those zipper freezer bags, and use those zippers. So cut those out and use them on this vinyl. I'll do a video on that next time in a couple weeks, and I'll show you how to make this from scratch. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave me a comment letting me know what you'd like to see next. Thanks, guys.